how to use operational math in Excel. Now, think of as only plus sign, minus, multiplication, and division. Those things are so powerful in Excel. They can bring a lot of things and they can make things alive at really here at Excel. So if you take a look at here, I'm gonna say 2 plus 4 or 3 plus 3 or like maybe 5 or 1 to 10, 19, and then 22, 50. So we're gonna do different things over here. We're gonna do a lot of things, of course, to make the point easier. And so we have a lot of numbers, as you can see over there. There are many ways to add this together, but we were going to only use their sign, multiplication sign, and add, addition, and subtraction, division, all those things. We're going to use their sign, not any formula. And this is part of the formulas that we're teaching you over here. So this is not something out of the formulas or functions. To do this, we're gonna start with equal sign, and then we're gonna open bracket. That's how we're gonna do it. And we're gonna select right now, and we're gonna type plus sign, and we're gonna select the other one. So as you can see, and then we're gonna close the bracket, and then hit enter. This is how we can actually use operational math or sign. So as you can see, A2 plus B2, that is A2. A2 is A2 gonna be this cell, and if B2 gonna be this cell. So in total, that'll be 8. Now you don't need to repeat over and over for all of this. You just need to double click and then it'll repeat itself. We're gonna right now talk about subtraction. So we're gonna start with equal sign and open bracket, and we're gonna select minus and that one. So right now we're only, remember, we're only doing 2 numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers. That is different cases, but mostly this is the case. But you can but you can repeat over and over. I mean, you can A2 minus B2 minus something, minus other cell, minus other cell. You can repeat that as well. You can add them all that. So we're going to use a mix this one. Now, the reason that it's minus 2 or minus 18 or 13, because 3 is less than 5, 1 is less than 19, 20 is less than 15. Now, let's assume that it's going to be 20, and this is going to be 30, and this is going to be 90. Now, as you can see, those are gone. Now, this is automatic. We don't need to think of something else. This is so automatic. We're going to do right now multiplication. Again, we're going to select A, and we're going to type multiplication sign, and we're going to close the bracket. And we're going to double click, and that will apply to the others. We're going to do same thing over here. Now, there's a typo. Whenever you have this kind of error or something like that, Excel once asks you to, there's a typo in your formula. Want to try to correct it? If you say yes, Excel sometimes do correct it. As you can see, Excel removed the close bracket. As you can see, you can go with either way, or either you can go with open bracket or close bracket. They're the same actually. But I would like to go with open bracket because most of the times we need that. So we're going to start again. We're going to repeat ourselves over here. Now, let's say I would do a mix of them. Let's say, because, yeah, my Excel will do it in order. So we're going to do a mix of it. So we're going to do a mix of it, actually. So we're going to say minus times divided by, there you go. So we're gonna see minus 300. So that's what it does. So it's basically did all of that in one over here. Now you don't need to repeat it yourself. You just need to click over there. Now this is true because at first Excel used multiplication and division, and then it used plus and minus. This is operational math, and we can use this for larger projects and for a much advanced projects. So we don't need to use this aggressively, but we can use this sometimes whenever we're creating something. For now, we only created a table actually that can allow us to see things and can divide things actually. Now, one thing and one area you can use that we're going to try to kind of do this. So let's say you want to create an invoice. Creating an invoice is a little bit hard, I know, but it could be easy as well. Now we're going to create an invoice, a very simple invoice using operational math. We're going to use this technology to kind of find it out, basically. So now you might say, well, Jan, there are a lot of online templates I can use. Yes, true, but you definitely don't need to create from beginning, but you really need to know how they are created. So those might be useful. So the one that we're going to create is from eForms website. This is something we're going to create like this. So we're going to use the operational math at the amount and total and tax and balance due. This is it. There is anything else. So I'm going to just move it to the other side. And right now you can see, so first thing first, we're going to go to grid lines. We're going to just enable it. Now we're going to start off with the from. So froms can be a company name or something else. So from can be actually person's name or company or person's name. We're going to create a different thing. We're not going to create same as the other one due to the copyright issue. We're going to say address. There you go. We're going to make this bolder. So right now we created this one and we're going to say 2. 2 should be large. And now we're going to say client name. And then we're going to say client email address. There's one address missing, and it should be client address 1, client address 2. There's one missing thing. There you go. So the part that I would like to add is really date, which this is going to be the date over here. And let me move this a little bit upper. There you go. So those things are so easy at Excel right now. There you go. And invoice number. We basically created everything from scratch, and we really don't need a lot of things. So you can put here like terms and terms or dues and over here, which is something like you wanted to add maybe. So we're gonna say terms, and you can say due, maybe today, due today. Now you can add this to a certain kind of thing. You can borderize this. Let's go and border it. We're gonna make this a little bit small, larger. There you go. And same thing with this one. That's much better. Now we can change their color to a different color, like, so you don't have to go with this color. To make this a little bit more nicer. Bold, bold, bold. Now we're gonna start typing the table actually. So we're gonna say, now this is a little bit tricky over here. You can add numbers as well, but you don't need definitely numbers. So you can add numbers if you want to. Otherwise, you don't actually need. So we're gonna select a certain thing and merge. This should be our items and our quantity. So QTY and our price. And this should be the amount. So we're gonna merge it. There you go. At the view, if you had some view at problem things, you were not able to see it, you can switch the view from here, like from default, or you can create a new view, or you can keep that one view over here. It is a possibility. So this is a temporary view. Right now you can work on it, and then if you like it, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can hit exit. So I'm gonna say keep it. So that is a part of thing that you have. Now, invoice is so good to be built in page break preview, not in the thing. So you can here adjust to page 1. So we're gonna only have page 1, and we're not gonna have any more other. You can see the space above, so we're gonna add more space to the top. So we're gonna add that one as page 1. So you can add logo and other things over here, which is simply and straightforward. This is something you can adjust pages with page break preview. Now with page layout, something gets a little bit cooler. So there you go. You have right now over there. I'm gonna adjust this one. Now items, this is good, so good. Now as you can see, we're gonna adjust things in somehow in the middle of things. So that means if you are gonna build things, if this would be a little bit closer to here, that would be great. So I switched from one place to another, moving just forward. So as you can see, this is something your border should be this much. So the amount basically is too much small right now. So what I'm gonna do, I am gonna merge this back, and at the quantity, so I'm gonna merge this again back, so make this the item larger. This is gonna be the amount, this is gonna be the price, and this is still large, but we're gonna still go with this 2 and keep this 3, or yeah. So what I'm gonna do in here, I'm gonna make the amount a little bit, the items more larger. So at least half of it. So, and then this is gonna be amount or quantity, I'm sorry. This is gonna be quantity. This is the price. Oops. And this is gonna be the amount. Now, it's a little bit easier right now to handle. There you go. Now, you just need to drag and drop to a certain point to make things available. Now, you don't need to go that far. So, yeah, it's not good. So I'm gonna I'm gonna unmerge it. So we're gonna delete this actually. So that's all we need. And yeah, from here to there, we're gonna just create all border thing. This is something we need. Right now we're gonna make this, you can see the font is actually not a right thing. So we're gonna make the fonts to better font. We're gonna make this bolder. Now you can see that I made much faster and better invoice than the other one. So right now you can see that there are something missing. So we're going to just merge center. We're going to say subtotal, or subtotal. Tax. We're going to say, let's say 16%, 50%. And then we're going to say balance due. There you go. So I'm going to make this quickly merge and center. Right now, we can make this part of that. There you go. So we have made a lot of things easier. Now, one thing you don't need necessarily is the border over here. So you don't need the border right over here. But you actually saw that it made it bad the other way. So we're going to do that with the reverse thing. So this is something you could make. Now, as you can see, that I still don't have a lot of good space. So what I can do is I can select and delete some certain created cells. And right now, I can actually here create some notes or maybe some description and all of that. So that is a possibility. Or maybe this larger amount of thing. I'm going to say notes. And we're going to say just yeah, we're going to start there. Enter your notes and other special considerations here. And there you go. We're going to make this thick outside. And over here, we're going to say notes, actually. So there you go. Basically, we created a lot of things. As you go forward, you might lose a little bit of space, so you can adjust it that way. Now you can see that this is so good right now. If you take a look at the print preview, we have this so much nicer and greater than anything. Everything is pretty much clean and all of that. But if things were not like adjustable to 100%, you can make it 100%. You can see right now it's much better view and all of that. Now, if it did not work out, you can fit it to one page. There you go. So based on the page break, you should be able to make things easier for yourself and all of that. So we're going to say there you go. I have a lot of space over here. I can delete. I can see with my eyes that I have a lot of space. And from the top, I have two more bad spaces. So right now, if you take a look, it'll be much easier and understandable. If you go back to this other preview now, let's say you type item number 1, item 01, you type the quantity, let's say 2, and you say, well, it's $90. Now you can see that this did not change to a currency thing, and that is a problem. So we need to enable this to a currency thing. You can click over here. There you go. Now let's say you want to write your own language. How you can do that? So you're going to go to more accurate accounting formats. Let's say I am Persian, so I speak Persian. I mean, so let's say how can I add that one over here? So what I'm gonna do is the very easy thing is to find maybe percentage or a dollar sign over here, and then edit that. So let's see if we can find a dollar sign over here. We couldn't find it. So we're gonna go to currency thing in here. Now I'm gonna go to, let's say I'm gonna go to other like AF or Afghani, my currency thing. Now as you can see, this is in English, so that means I'm not able to type in Persian. So what I'm going to go, I'm going to choose the currency first, and I'm going to go to custom. And this is where you can write it in Persian. So I'm going to say, there you go. And right now it is right there. Now you can see that this should be the last thing. So I'm going to type it, paste it over here, back and switching its places. So right now, still it doesn't work. So I'm going to hit OK and to see if it works over here. Still, it did not work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change right to left. Still, it did not work. So what I'm going to do over here and go back again and kind of switch it back and forth. So still it did not change. The only reason that it's not changing is because it is English and that one. So and the alphabet. That's why it is not doing anything. So let's do the other way. So I'm going to type the other way to see if it works. So I'm going to type starting that one. And then still it did not work. So I'm going to first type Persian, and then I'm going to start with my hashtag sign. There you go. Still it did not work. The only reason that it doesn't work because it's Persian and English, so they won't really work unless you change the kind of the alphabet itself. There could be a reason, and it could be really working over there, which you can see it's still not working. Anyway, that's not a big case right over here, and that was not the point of in here. The point is customization of that one. And of course, that is not the case. So we're going to switch back. Oops. So there you go. Now I'm going to double click and it'll repeat for the other as well. Or I'm going to just drag and drop. So the point is that it's 90. It's price, so it won't going to repeat. Now you can say the total amount. So let's say, so it's going to should be multiplied. So we're going to say 2 times 90. Give me the total. We can repeat this to the bottom. Right now there isn't anything. Now let's say you type item 0, 2, 3, 150. And that's like 450. The subtotal can be done by other way. You don't need to sum one, sum the other one. This is gonna take a while. So the best way to do this is you're gonna go to formulas. You're gonna go to auto sum and sum. This will auto select itself over there. The formula for this is equal sign, sum, and then selection of all that. You can do it over here. Either way, you're going to win. Or you're going to follow the simplest solution. You hold the Alt and you hit the sign button. And that's going to work out. So now we're going to get this tax over here. Now this tax is a little bit tricky. So the way to get the percentage, it's so easy. First you get the 50% and then you add it to that one. So we're going to do, and we're going to get that one. So we're going to say this one times 0.15. Now, if you take a look, that's 94. That's 50%. If you don't, yeah, that's like, if you don't believe me, we can get the 10%, 63. So right now, we're going to add it back again. Simple math. We're going to add it again, that one to that one. And we're going to hit OK. That's 724.50. Now, you don't need to copy and paste this one to balance do? What you're going to do is you're going to say, well, equal sign, open bracket, and click on the sale, and that one is the key. So right now you don't really need actually to copy and paste things, so it's automatic. This was the project that we were looking for the operational math and all of that. And I know it was a little bit confusing, and a little bit I made confusion sometimes, but you definitely learned a lot. And this is how you can create invoice or any paper like this that is similar to that for your personal life, or maybe your place you work, and all of that. Simple thing, simple data, and all of that. Of course, you can create you can format it as well. You can put a conditional formatting things on it. You can use data validation. Where was it? So yeah, data validation for its numbering and all of that, or invoice number thing. There are many things you can do for this, but of course you cannot use chart and all of that. So see you in the next project. So let's learn the auto sum feature that we had over here. I know you may already know on all of this, but there are scenarios that you may need to use. So I would like to really start with a very simple project for a weekly expenses. I know this might not be useful for daily life, but for the sake of total, average, and maximum minimum, we're going to learn to do it anyway. We're going to use how to do it effectively. So the table is right over here, and we can format it as a black. Let's say it's black, so you can see right now it's over here, and I can delete the last one. So we want to use the total and average and maximum minimum. Now the easiest way is you can click over here, and then it'll total it for you. So we're going to go to formula, and we're going to say sum. It'll auto select everything, and then you hit OK, and then it'll repeat itself for the other. The reason is because I have chosen the table style. That is the main reason. An average will do the same thing. So if you click over here, it'll take average. But the problem is it's including the total, which we don't want that. So to remove this, we're going to just remove the total. Yeah, we're going to remove the total over here. There you go. So let's select it from here. So I'm going to say average. Now it says to total. This should be grains instead of totals. So we're going to change this to grains. Oops. So we're going to type grains. Oh, I did it wrong. So now we basically select the right sales. So we're going to hit enter. Now you can see we got the average, which is 23. The maximum, same thing, maximum. So as you can see, it includes the average. So we're not going to do that. We're going to say grains again. The only reason that it does is, well, it just doesn't know that. So there you go. Now we got the maximum budget, which is 45 for the meat. The minimum, however, is the same thing. So it goes like that. So we're going to say to grains, hit enter, and that's the minimum. This is another way you could do. What I would like to ask you to do is don't go over formulas or insert functions and find the formula and all of that, unless you're in a certain situation that you don't know how to type each of these logical values and terms and condition. I would like to ask you to just sum it and then choose with the mouse, or go with the sales address over here. As you can, so these are based on sales address, and that's the best way to do this, because it's much faster and you're not in trouble of anything. So we don't write maximum, we just write max. And whenever you made an error, you just need to select again. And that's the best way. So we're going to say minimum. And there you go. The count is not useful over here, but we're going to do it. The count, it counts the total thing, the total amount of numbers. So we have 5, of course. For each week, we have 5 different items, as you can see. So it's 5. It's really not too much useful over here. But that was the quick thing that we could do with AutoSum, and we learned a little bit. We're going to use some of these for further future projects. In this project, we're going to learn how to create maybe a monthly expenses tracker or something that you could share as a people, as a human being living together, or like maybe one or a couple, or maybe a whole family. You want to keep track of grocery things and all of that. So for these things, we're gonna have, and we need four things, like 4 sheets. So one of this is dashboard, so you could see the status of the people, and the other one is expenses, so you can write stuff on it. And one is notes, which you can write notes on it. It's not super important, but you still can keep it. The other one is carts, because you want to keep track of the receipts, and you want to get the receipts and you want to type it out, and you have it over the expenses and dashboard. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to create something from beginning using this one. So we're not going to copy things, we're going to paste things. So what we're going to basically learn to create things from this one. So we're going to not copy, but we were going to track it as example. So the very first thing we're going to learn to create is basically, and actually the very first thing, this one, okay, how this one is really coming up, the table thing. The very first thing you need to do is go to view and show no grid lines. That's something we need to have. And we're going to type the menus. So there you go. There you go. There you go. Now in here, there's 2 certain things. Now as you can see that I wrote day, month, year, day, month, year. You can only put a date. Make things a little bit easier. So you can only put a date to make things easier. I didn't do that in my own example, but we're gonna do it over here. So I did it over here. Now I'm gonna go to a home and and then we're gonna format it as a table. Let's go with the black. No, let's go with this kind of black. This is much better. So we're gonna click, my table has header, that is the header. So right now, as you can see, I've got over here the table, which is super ready for me. So number 1, number 2, this does not mean the number of like items, but it does mean the number of receipts. So each receipt you can type number over here, and then you can type a number there. So in case of finding something error, you can get back to that file and archive and get that one. Let's fill it out the information with something else. So we're gonna say expense, or expenses. And then we're gonna start the dashboard. I'm gonna move this back. I'm gonna start with the other one over here as note, and the other one actually cards. Now in case that you do not have our cart, buying with cart. You don't need to type it over here. Now, there's one thing missing, and that is buyer, which we have it. There's date. There's the total, which we don't have. So we're going to say insert. And the total should come after the, like, close to the buyer, I guess. Like after, yeah, before date, actually. We're going to say amount, not total. So we did that, and we're going to change this to different color, exactly, like maybe yellow this time. Actually, let's go with, then this one should use different color, and this one with pink, and dashboard with red. So there you go. We already halfway through it. So we created the expense. We're going to create the notes. Notes are super easy. We're going to go to view, and we're going to disable grid lines, and we're just going to merge that, and that's it. So we're going to say, oops, we're going to go to the sales format. No, we're not going to go there. We're going to go to the alignment, and now we just drop it over here. We can change this color to the other one, and then we select it, and now it's going to repeat itself. I know it's super bright, but let me change this one. And there you go. So you can type any notes as much as you want. We had the other system notes, which is the same thing basically. So we got the notes over here. We got the expenses over here. I know it's different color, but we can change that quickly to other color as we want to. The point is not to create the same color. The point is to create the main working system. The carts, we're going to go the cart. The cart, it's so easy. So we're going to say cart owner. So this is something our back-end data. So later on, we type the cart number. So the data comes from here, and then it gets the data, and it reads the cart, and then it gets back there the name of the person. So we're going to say this. My table has a header. There you go. All right, so we did that right now, much better than that. So this is the dashboard that we need to talk about. Dashboard is super easy. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. You can create, of course, different version of it. You necessarily don't need my version. So this is going to be dashboard. We're going to call it dashboard. We're going to call it total. We're going to type people's number, and we're going to again type that one. So I'm going to merge this for a better version view. And I'm going to move this to the center. And that's a people's name, and this is going to be divided by people. So it's going to be total, and it's going to be number, and these going to be to the center. Right, and I can click over here, and I make this outside border. Well, there you go. Well, it doesn't need to be that much beautiful for now. We're going to create it later. We're going to create the background and all of that later. Actually, we don't need to create things right now. It doesn't need to be this way or maybe the other way. So over here, it's name of the person, total expense, and we have status. I don't know if that's right. I think that's right. So yeah, so we're gonna make this somehow merge and center. we're gonna say this. Let's say Ellie. Let's say Tom. Oh, we're gonna go with Brian. We're gonna say TJ. Different people this time. 3 people or more. Yeah, the point is to get your hands better at Excel. You don't need to create this one and really assume that you are creating it. So you don't need actually to create same as that I do, but you definitely need to work on to make your hands better at Excel actually. So there you go. I can make things a little bit tricky this way and this way. So right now it's basically the same thing. And we're going to go to the bottom border. There you go. So we actually made it. We're going to go to times new. There you go. So I used if your time, I used a different font. Sorry. Over here is different font, but it doesn't matter actually. There you go. So we got the same things, but we, as you can see, we did not get the input yet. We don't know the formulas yet. We don't know if it functions. So we got the expense, we got the notes, we got the cards, we got the dashboard. Let's start typing the receipts. Let's say receipt, we're going to name it in 75. We got it from, let's say, Walmart. There's no description. The card ends with 300. Now 300 basically, you don't need to type each time. 300 is for Tom. We have Tom at the file. Yes. And Brian cards is 400. BRIN. TJ card is, yeah. You can type other people like 800. No, 9074 isn't for Brian again. Brian, I think this is Brain. This is Brain. Brian. And 484 is for Tom again. So as you can see, the buyer does not show up. But in here, if you take a look over here, if we type some other, let's say 200, the card will show up. Well, it did not show up right now. Maybe I removed it. I removed the data, but it will eventually. So we want to get that to that point. Let's say write the amount, $200. Today's date, let's say today. So we're going to write today. That's how you can write. Now it's going to go up each day with the today. So what technique you're going to use is you're going to copy this and you're going to paste as value. Right now there's no formula. So you don't need to, yeah, that's the functionality of that you can use. The formulas, if you take a look at the formulas, we used 2 different type of formula. If error, that means if it did not find. So write me not found or no found. But if it find using VLOOKUP, the cards, so that means read it and get it over here. Now, we use a little bit of complicated things over here, and I know. So the if thing over here, this starts over here, and it ends over here. So that's it. This is entirely VLOOKUP. So we're going to do that over here, and we're going to see if it works out for us. So we're going to say if error, and we're going to say open bracket this time. And right now, VLOOKUP. Again, open bracket. Now we're going to choose cards over here. Add cards. So we're going to say cards actually over here. So we're going to say add cards. And now, as you can see, I typed the comma thing. That means look at this card number at cards over here, which I'm going to choose everything over here. And then we're going to go back to this again. And at the expenses, and that's the one that we have it over here right now. I think I did it wrong over here, so I'm going to go back again. I'm going to use carts. There you go. So I did the cart over here right now. Now find it over there, and of course get it to there. So we're going to use that over here to find it out. Now, in worst case scenario, if it did not work out, we're gonna say not found. So we're gonna say false, and then comma, not found, and hit enter. It says not found. It's 300. It should find 300 Tom, but it did not find out. So still we need to do a lot of things. The only reason that it did not work out, it's 300, and it searched the whole table and there wasn't anything. So to fix this, as you can see, it did bring me no found, but it does not bring the person that I'm trying to get. To fix this, we're going to rewrite it again to make sure that we are doing everything's right. So we're going to say if error, we're going to keep it that way. We're going to keep the value and all of that to make sure that we are actually looking for something else, not for the if error. First, we're going to get things done. So right now we're going to say we're going to take a look at cards. And right now we're going to go to the cards again. As you can see, this completely rewrites anything again. So this should not happen. The main reason that it happens, and that's why most of the time we're confusing things with it. So we're going to say VLOOKUP, and then we're going to say the cards, and then we're going to type comma to get out of the lookup value. So we got out of the lookup value. Right now we're going to go to the cards, and again we're going to remove the cards. So we're going to select the whole table. And right now, once we do that, this is the table array. We know what we're looking for. We know what we are looking for. Like the number, the key card, and all of that. So that is called basically a search key, and we did look for that. Now we know the range, which is this is the range that we're looking for. Now we'd have to get. And we have to return the column to that. So we're going to say comma, the column 2, which is Tom over there. That's the column 2. So we did that right now. And once we're done with that, now we have to again put a comma because this is column index. This is a range lookup. So we are looking for specific match. We're going to say false actually over here. And then once we do that, we need to put a close bracket and again comma and not found. This should work properly over here. Now you can see it's Brian. Now we're going to copy to the next one. It says Brian and all of that. We're going to click on that to fix it automatically. We're going to say 300. It says Tom. We're going to say 484. 484. It says Tom. So 76. Food basics. And the Tom was 300 this time. And it was, again, this is a problem for me. Let's keep them all today. Basically, for an example, basically. This was from Amazon. No description. Tom bought it. Let's add TJ anyway. 800. and this could be 150. Now, there's one specific problem. It says 150. You don't know what this is. It says amount. You could type $sign in here, and that presents that it is in dollar. Or you could change the currency of that over here. That is another way. So let's take a look at it again. We are having the table of contents, the table of expenses. We are having the cards. We are having the notes. Right now, nothing appears over here, which we are taking, which we are really that we should appreciate it. Everything is over here, but the dashboard itself, the one that we created, is way different than the other. So we are gonna use this thing and this one to understand and first and to really understand all of that. So over here, I used simple thing. I used sum, which is expenses, and I divided by 2, which actually divided by this cell. So over here, the total over here, I used sum, and that's it. So you can see I used sum. I did not use any kind of thing. So I'm gonna use again sum over here, and I'm gonna go to expenses, and I'm gonna use the amount basically and all of that. It says expenses, and I'm gonna close it. So 650. Now I'm gonna divide this by 3 because it's equally divided by that. So right now I can make changes. If I add up more people, I can just click that and it'll be changed to that as well. Now we got this one. We know the total, but we don't know how much Brian used, how much we don't actually know that. So what we can do to kind of create that as well. So if we take a look at here, we used a formula called sum expenses. That means we took a look at every expenses at the formula, at the whole table, and then we said, well, B4, that means anyone who is in here, and then again take a look at that at this here and bring it over here. It says expenses EE, expenses FF, and that is coming from here, expenses EE and expenses FF. That's coming from here. So we have to select first this one and then this one, which we're gonna do it over here. So we're gonna say sum F to go to the expenses. Okay, sum F, and we're gonna go to expenses. We're gonna say over here, expenses EE. Now make sure to delete this one. I don't know why it's keep adding here. There you go. So now we created that one. We're gonna say, well, this is someone who bought. That was the range basically. Now we're gonna say the criteria is dashboard over here. Actually, I cannot select it over here. There you go. B5. Now you can see that this is a little bit tricky thing over here, which is really obviously right. So we don't need to do anything. Now, because we're creating the formula over here, we don't need the dashboard. We just need the B5. We don't need that long thing. And we're going to put a comma for sum range, which is going to be the amount over here. So that is basically it. So expenses EE, B5, expenses EE, and that's it. So we're going to close the bracket. Now we can use if error for this as well, but in this case we don't need to, because if it was, we're going to show off with little thing. So we're going to say okay. So Brian spent $200. Let's take a look to verify that. Yes, Brian spent $200 over here. As you can see, this is a problematic. So we have to create this. We have to really put this $sign over there. Now we can do the same thing for this one actually. So we're going to copy in 3 and we're going to click. Now it says Tom. Tom spent 300. TJ spent 150, which is right. The only reason is if we go again to numbers, 8. Again, we're going to say Amazon, Tom. Again, Tom spent $50 more. So where if it's going to go up, Tom has spent more money. Now, that's the total expenses, and we know who, right now we know who spent how much, but we don't know their status. We don't know how much Brian owns Tom, or Tom how much is in debt, or like that. We don't know each other's liability, basically, or like owning thing, or all of that. So what we are going to do in here, and what I actually did over here, is I use a simple math subtraction. So we're going to use that. So we're going to say, well, Brian spend $200. So we're going to say minus this much. So we're going to, oops. So actually, like, Brian needs $33. We're going to, oops, not over here, sorry. So we're going to go to the numbers. There you go. Now we can repeat this ourselves to make sure that, no, it did not work. So we're going to fix that one over here. We're going to fix that. Now, right now you can see that Tom, however, Tom spent a lot of money, but this is not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back these back and forth to make it more meaningful. In this way, we can make, right now you can see that Tom, we're going to go back again over here. There you go. Right now you can see that it's working. So right now we can see that Brian, well, actually, Brian is not really, has no money on someone else or nobody, but really is under debt of $33, has really under $33. So he has to give $33 because he's minus 33. And Tom is plus 116. That means he should get from the other people. Now the sum of this two will be 116 if you take a look at that. So that's how we created basically this one. So this was the project that we created. I'm going to save this for the project. And then we're going to give you this copy as well. Well, stay cool and work hard and learn more. Let's take a look at the time and date function. Basically, it's over here, but we're not going to learn all of it because we necessarily don't need all of it. But it's so easy to learn from here. So you can click insert function and then date and time. All the functions are ready over here. And as I told you before, most of these are not used and it's not necessary to learn. So the very first one is now. If you type its function, it's going to be = now and open and then closed bracket. So this is going to give you the today's time, the current time, or any time that your computer is set on. It could be real or it could be fake. The today is basically gives you today's date. So we're going to say today. So you can see it's today, 13 April 2024. Now, in the future, there might be some use case for this because it's time and functions. A lot of things are connected to time and date. And using these functions, we will be able to make our projects faster and easier. So it's more understandable for us, basically. The other one is year. So we're going to say year, and then we can select a date from here. And then it'll gives us the year out of that date that we already have. So basically what it does is it's going to get the date, the year out of this, and then it'll give you that. Now, the time that this changes, remember, this will be automatic changed. Now, I told you how you can really convert this to a value. You copy this basically and you paste it as value. So whenever you're done with this, okay? So it's really that easy. So I'm gonna move this over here and I'm gonna say year, so we know what we learned. The next one is day. Well, this is going to be the same thing. So we choose basically a day. It's going to give us the day. So some of the projects may need to have this. So you just type a date and then it'll give you the basically the dates actually. So, and then the day and the year. So the other one is month. This is going to be the same thing. So you just select them a date, and that's 4 actually. So it's a lot of things that we can do over here, and it's so great that we have this kind of functionality. The other one actually is hour. So if I go hour, and if I'm gonna choose basically, so it's 0, that means it's 12, and same thing with minutes. So I can say minute if it's over here, and if you press tab, that will complete it. So it says serial number. Basically, I'm going to choose this one, and it'll give us the minutes. Same thing with second, actually. Second, I'm going to type the second over here. So second, and then we're going to say, so that's what it does basically for the whole thing. There will be in the future some condition and some scenarios that you may need to use this one actually for creating things better. Now, if you go further more in depth, there are a lot of things in here like date value, days 360. This returns the number between that thing on all of that. So if you click over here, it says start date, end date, and method. This approach will basically get the distance between all the start date and the end date itself automatic. Nowadays, we could do it ChatGPT, but Excel is doing it for us over here without any really headaches. So you don't really need actually a kind of headache thing. So let me do that. So it says minus 44. If I'm going to click over here, if I'm going to make this copy, this is 0 thing. So because there's no distance right now, I'm going to paste it as a value. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 2023. So that is the difference between those dates. So I hope you kind of figured it out and learned what we could do with this. That is much better than the other thing. Days 360. You can move this over here. So that's actually what it can do, and we have a lot of things to over here, a lot of fun things. Days 360 was the most funnest things. Now you don't need AI to do this. You can do it over here. Hour and minute and month and all of that. Second, now a time and time value. Weekends even is a possibility over here. So it says just choose basically a year, and it'll give you basically the value over here. The return thing as well over here. So weekend, weekday. So we're gonna choose that one. We're gonna click. So that is the 7 week right over there. I think it did the right thing. Yes. So that is basically week day. And I think it's right. So it's going to be 4 months, 4 divided by 4. I think it's going to be right. So actually it's just 2 weeks. So 3 times 4, 12. I think it's not right. So it's going to give us the weekday really actually. I don't know what is the weekday. Okay, that is the weekday actually. So in a lot of things, whenever you don't understand things, you particularly click over here and it's gonna give you the specific information. So start date, days, and holidays. Now there are some things that you need to know about it. So whenever you have the kind of that is the weekday, not the days, not the total amount. Okay, that is 13. That means the 7th. Okay, the Friday. So in here, basically, you can see a lot of things that you can learn in the future for a better understanding, or in case you forget things. So, oops, if you hover over it, the tooltip will be showing specific things for you on how you can change things for a better understanding. A lot of these are useful. Of course, we're gonna use this in future, not in future, but in this section, based on the project's needs, but not like from option to the options. And I hope you have fun with date and time. Let's learn and build a timeline project. So we could say, well, preparing this thing and like getting done this task, start date and end date, and then using that formula of time that we learned. So we could find out the distance and the total amount of days, and then we could total it up. So how we can create? Well, first thing first, we're going to use number, or we're going to say number. We're going to say activity. Of course, activity. We're going to say start, end, and days. This is a simple table that shows a timeline of a project, or basically a level of a task that you could be doing at the certain days for an amount of days, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this and format this table as a actual table, and it has header. So that's it. So we're going to say 1. So let's say preparing the website, preparing the site, and now the start date. I'm going to write it today. So basically 2024 13. If you take a look at this, it's going to be date. You can change this to a certain things. Like let's say you can change this to 14 March, or you can say 14 March 12 or something like that. So we're going to change that to that one, 13th of March. We're going to say start and end. So this will be, I'm going to copy and paste for a better faster track. So this will be like 25. So that was 25 April. Now this needs a formula and this needs a distance where we can add it. But for now we don't have it. So we're going to add number 2, like preparing the site, and now, well, actually not the site, so buying or getting the host and domain ready. That's gonna be the time thing. And the other one could be actually like installing WordPress. This is gonna be start date, same date again, actually. And then right now we're gonna copy again. Oops. Copy again. So this is gonna be actually on 13th. What I'm gonna do is actually copy and paste stuff, and so make things easier for us and all of that. So I'm going to just repeat it over and over, and I'm going to say steps. All right, so that could be a better, easier thing. Now I'm going to just move the dates to a different date, actually. So we're going to say, there you go. So it's going to repeat itself. Now to get the distance, it was super easy. So from the formulas, we're going to go and we're going to count the days. Now you could not use subtraction and addition. You can only use days 360. This is the start date. This is the, and that you don't need any method, and that is it. So in here, what happened actually is it's gonna April, January, February, April. The only thing that it happened actually, because so it did not add a level of kind of grade over thing in here, so that's why the days are so bad over here. So I'm gonna actually copy and paste things for a better actually thing, so this should be connected. And now we can add a total thing over here, total, and that's it, 42 days. This could be something useful, like a timeline project that you could have at Excel. I know this is so simple, but simple things often are the good things, which are so incredible. All right, so we're going to learn to build kind of this table, and we're going to basically learn a very simple formula to get really get this table running. For now, I'm going to delete the formula as we built it before. So right now, as you can see, we have a task and we have a status. This is a project completion table where it simply used one formula and we can get the percentage of the whole thing. Basically count or count A, that's basically count A. Count A is basically counting the sales and the completion on all of that. And it does not really work on generic numbers. It's going to work with all this stuff and it's going to talk with the table basically. We're going to use count A to generate the completed progress over here. Now there could be other ways, like it could be like count. Count gives you number 3, but you cannot get the percentage. Even if you change this to percentage, it's a high number, 300%. That's not fair. So we're trying to get a percentage out of things that we've done. It's basically something you saw on maybe on some applications, like some of these items are done and status kind of thing. So we're going to build right now. So we're going to use count A, open bracket. Now the tasks that are done basically. So we're going to say status of tasks that are done. And now we're going to close the bracket and we're going to say count A again. And we're going to select all the tasks again. Then we're going to close it. Now you got to remember one thing. Don't forget the division signals, division symbol. And that is very important. So if you click over here, that's 40%. Let me say if I buy a printer, done. That is 57%. Now, as I add more stuff to this, it's gonna get me the job done. So buy a coffee cup. So it's gonna build that progress. All right, so that is the task completion percentage. And we're going to see you in the next lecture. All right, so in this lecture, we're going to practice the if. We haven't talked about if really, actually. And that's why we need to talk about if in logical terms. And of course, we're going to practice the average. So this is a very simple, very simple kind of students' homework like progress or students' homework like tracker. Whenever we are teaching something, I taught classes like this, and then in Afghanistan. So, and I tracked down and I tracked the students' progress based on their homework. So giving like 13 or 20 of homework, and then scoring them, and then really and then averaging them and then giving a message, so they would be able to see their results immediate. And we want to practice this again in here in real world, of course. And we will not definitely create same as this one. We'll create definitely probably or maybe much better. So the very first thing you may need to know, well, we're gonna turn off the grade lines. So in here, you may just add some information. Like you could see in here, we added like teacher's name and all of that. So we're gonna say class name basically over here, like class. And we're gonna say room. Actually, we're gonna see and we're gonna really have this with ourselves, like side by side, so you get the notice and you get the really how am I doing. And then we're gonna practice to see which way is better to on it. So class, and then we're gonna say teacher, and we're gonna say room, time, like the shift. Maybe we could say time or shift, but it's okay. We're gonna say that one, okay. And here we're gonna say, well, actually, maybe class, maybe it's about, like, let's say it's about math 101, something like that. All right, so just came on me. And then the teacher is, of course, it's me. We usually write full name with that. Oops. And then room, let's say number A3. Let's say there are a lot of rooms over there, and the time is like 11 p.m. So students should be ready at 1 p.m. This is like old school thing. People don't like online there. So we're gonna say bold. We're gonna of course change the entire thing to Times New Roman. There you go, much better than that. And we're gonna just add a little bit more space. Now, as you can see, one thing that it's done, we're gonna just align it to the center. That's like much better than the other one. So we're gonna just align it that way. And we can do a lot of things. We can just add more space to this. And then we can say, well, this should be like border thing on the bottom, like that. Or we could add just a border like that, maybe a little bit of gray border to see the reflection in the design thing. So too much of that can be bad. So we're going to click. As you can see, it's really great to see this way. There you go. So we wrote much better than that, probably. And then over here, we just say month, year, and then we're going to say month January 2024, for example. We're going to align it to the center. Now over here, we just want to know the name. You can see that this is close. You can create like that as well. It's not a problem. So first name. Now, the point of all these practices is to make you familiar. We're going to use the last name to really to teach you handy stuff, so you get the result sooner and then better. So you say, John, I got better at this, thank you. That's kind of thing I'm looking for. Now, as you can see, this made a little bit obvious that this one, whenever I made it larger, this was like it because they're connected to each other. That's why they became larger, and that's how it is. All right. But you can see that won't really change anything. That won't make it like look bad. And then we're going to say, well, homework 1, or let's say assignment number 1. And then we're going to make it a little bit larger. I don't know if assignment is correct. Assignment is not correct. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste Microsoft Word and get the right version immediately and paste it right there, not to waste time. So we're going to say, let's say 10 assignment, and each is going to be this way. There you go. We could do it with one click, but it's fine. This has more like better thing. So there you go. If you look at it back, we just made it. Now, the numbers are so easy to fix. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna just drag it. Let's say we have like 15 students at class. Their names could be like, let's say Tom, like this could be Pat, and this could be like Mitch. This could be like Brian, Jan. So we're gonna just repeat over and over, and that's it. And I'm gonna just repeat over here too. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Oops. So in here, I'm gonna just copy this, paste it over here. Don't transpose, no borders. Well, let's keep it that way. I'm gonna write another other kind of name on there. So last name could be, let's say, Ikhtiari, Brian again, Hilton, well, some like kind of thing. Walker, just drag and drop. Oops. So let's say we assumed right now, we're assuming we have 15 students. We have filled their information and we just need the table. So we're just gonna fill out the table over here. And we're gonna say this kind of table should be all borders and like a little bit gray, which you can see it is already gray. Now there's one thing that you see on this kind of project, on this table, that whenever I do this, the first name and last name doesn't change at all. So they stays there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the assignment number 1 over here, and I'm gonna go to view. I'm gonna freeze the pans. And now, right now you see a little thing over here, which is a little bit new thing. And that's why it is 4. And that's what it is for. I can make this a little bit smaller even. So there you go. And now whenever I kind of hover in this, let me to go over 100. So whenever I go over 100, and you can see it doesn't do like that. So there you go. Now I can write over here the academy's name and all of that. And I can write something else over here. Let's do that over here. I'm gonna merge center. Merge center. Merge center. So I'm gonna say Jen's Academy Class A3 assignment tracker. Kind of like that. We're gonna make it bold. Year 2024, for example. There you go. So you could kind of do like this. Either way is fine. And we're gonna make these bold. Now we did the sufficient thing. Now we, of course, there's one thing we need to do, and that's something we have to do actually, and that's the main function. So as you can see, assignment number 1, let's say he gets 9 out of 10. And this one, so I'm gonna just put a random, really actual number over here. So I'm gonna say like that. So I'm gonna say 3. There you go. Number 4, number 5, 10. I know we're gonna do this manually, but this is not good. But okay, now I'm gonna just copy and paste, drag and drop all of that. So there you go. I know it looks bad, but we did it anyway. So here what I did, I could do different things over here as well. Like I can get random number as well. Oops. And we could do that as well, like random between, let's say, 1 to 10. Now I got this one. I'm going to copy over here. Now I'm going to drag and drop over here. As you can see, this is obvious that it's totally a random number. Now, we did get the random number, but as you can see, it's a formula, so we just need to copy it again. And then select over here. We have to select somewhere else. Like we're going to copy over here actually in another kind of sheet. And we need to delete this. We're going to copy. Sometimes whenever this doesn't work, you still can press V and you have to go Control, and here you have to paste this value. Right now you can see that this is not a formula. This is obvious that it is a number. So that's the trick. That's the thing you need to use there. So we did right now, we know, but we don't know the average. Let's say over here, let's go back to our example. So we got the average over here, but we don't have the average. The average is the easiest thing to get. So we're going to say average and average. We're going to open bracket, average. Oh no, we're not going to open. So we're going to say average, open, and we're going to just select all these numbers, and that will get it the average. And we're going to double click, and that will repeat itself for the rest. We're going to just click over here. We're going to just make it border. We got the average. So there you go. But there's one thing that we have not done. So that's the average. Now, as you can see, this has a little thing over here, like a lot of these over here. How we can do that before getting even the formula. That's so easy to do. So to get that over here, we have to select a certain thing and we have to go to conditional formatting. And there is a lot of things. So you can do a lot of things right over there. As you can see, it's so easy. Just hover over them and you'll be fine. It's color skill even. So you could do this kind of thing. Like 10 is the very, very high thing. Like 2 is so bad. This makes a lot of meaning. So green, yellow, and red. This is a very good thing to have. You can see 1 is red. That means super bad. With icon thing as well, like charging thing. I believe this one could be the best for this, or yeah, this one could be the best, really, actually. So, and the averaging, you could get something probably like this, or just a color thing, a solid color or gradient. Let's go with solid one. Now we got that one, but what we're looking for is the message or the result. We're going to say the result. If you go take a look at the formula, it is so easy. It is very easy. If the sale average is less than 17, well, give it a yeah, excellent. Otherwise, please try more. And that's the if conditional thing. If and else if. So we're going to say final or result. We're going to say that if, oops, we haven't started the formula. So we are going to say if average sign is less than, like, well, if it's like, yeah, if it's less than, if it's greater than 7. So we're going to say pass, and if not, fail. And you can see this guy failed, right? So we only got a 1 place. So I'm going to change the rule obviously to 5 because a lot of people won't be able to make it. There you go. So this only shows the result, or like pass, or all of that. So we're going to go and make this a little bit meaningful. There you go. Now we can go and click. We still can make a conditional format for this, like a check mark and all of that. But most of these are not available for the text. However, you could say, well, equal to, or text that contains, we're going to say light red, we're going to say green light if format cell that contains pass. So we're going to hit OK now. Those people passed, actually. And that's a great thing. We could delete this here for like because it's too kind of like busy, or still we can keep it out anyway. Or we could change this to meaning different colors, so it won't really like that one, so it makes it a little bit meaningful. Now if you take a look at over here, we still have the total. That means like total all of it. And if you take a look at this, how it's done, it's the end of the homework. Like it's averaging the end and the last homework, which we don't have the last homework for now for this one. Still, there's another result. So if we're giving it another chance, basically. So here, but you could go with only this solid one kind of student's progress sheet, which you don't need more than this one. Actually, it's gonna work out for the entire class. And that was the if and average, and of course else if. We're gonna learn in this lecture how to create monthly class attendance. Well, basically, it's gonna be super easy, and there won't be any formula or functions actually. So it's gonna be super easy, but we're gonna do actually like we are gonna use if actually if it's like 3 like absent, I think. So if it's like absent like more than 3, so we could say, well, fail, like you're like you could go to next class. You can attend to those class. So we're gonna create a copy of this over here actually in our own sheets number 11 and more. We're gonna keep going. So I'm gonna step this aside so you got the idea of how a monthly thing can be created, a monthly attendance. So I'm gonna first thing, as always, grade lines off because we don't want to see that. And over here you could create the title, but I would ask you to create the titles of your table last, or maybe your project or whatever, because whenever you're creating tables over here, and it's gonna create a massive like distractions later, so like the weight will be different and all of that. So let's keep this away. So we're now using basically just teacher name, and then class, and then we're gonna go over here actually. So we will be using other stuff like course, and then we're gonna say time, and again month. We don't need actually to use semicolon, but you still can use it for a better understanding. So we're gonna use and keep everything formatted the same to avoid distraction. And then we're gonna say year. Now this is it. The tricky part is the actual, now the old school thing. We had to fill up this and we had to print this, But nowadays you don't need, if you're like giving yourself a class, like if it's class like private class, you don't need to sign up and buy a subscription from an application to really find out about the attendance, to know and to make sure that who is attended and who's not attended. You can do it with Excel, with your own thing. Or if you're giving a webinar and all of that thing, students, private students, this will work, and it'll work definitely so easy. So we're gonna say ID, we just need ID. We're gonna say first name or just name. We're gonna say last name. Let's be consistent, let's say first name. So we created that one actually. Now in here it's getting a little bit tricky, so let's start with Monday. Or just say Monday, or just Monday. And then we're gonna just drag and drop. We're not gonna hold control, we just drag and drop for the entire thing. So we're gonna go probably 30. So let's see, it's 21, 24, 31. So as you can see, this is a very long thing. We don't want that, so we just want to use the tricky thing that we had over here, over here actually. So we want to use this thing and this one. So we want to read the text from bottom to top. So this could be the one. Now we know that this is very, very thing right now. So, and then we're going to say autofit column width, and that will adjust everything with the one click. So you don't need to hover over, click and everything, and then to find out what the result is going to be. That's certainly, we did a lot of things so far, and we are so good. Now over here, actually, what we're going to do is, as you can see, we're going to say 1, and then I'm going to go to 31. The problem here that whenever you click on last name, this little thing is not filled out. Well, you're going to go and select it, and you're going to merge it. That's the only option left for now. Same thing with ID. Now it's going to be super interesting. Now we're going to say absent, same thing over here. Now, like logically, you know that if someone is absent 3 days more, that he's not allowed. So that's why you can do with the formula. We will do with the formula, but we may not write the formula because this is an obvious thing, things that you can process. We won't really automize them. So there you go. So I'm gonna write P and hold P for the entire thing, P for present, and then we're gonna say student name, student info, or like info kind of thing. So for both kind of last thing, held control key. Now we know what we are having over here. And same thing with ID. That's the whole basic, and that's the very foundation of our table right over here at the Excel. So this is what we really need in order to get the data out of things. Now, of course, you can fill it up. You can print it up later, or just do it now. Now, the whole point of this is to adjust it in the printing mode. That's where we want to learn things. But first, let's really colorize this. So over here, we're going to include, the class names. So we're going to say data science, for example, or just, well, let's say data tech or whatever. That's the class names. And we just want to bold it, and we just want to select everything over here, and Times New Roman, and we just want to bold it more, Oops. There you go. And of course, I don't need that much space right over there. Now you can write the academy's name over here. Gens Tech, let's say. And we're going to bold it. So now the whole point is to create, of course, a table for this. So we're going to go with lower color. So to make things better, there you go. Right now you can see that these are created actually. So we're going to say border bottom, border bottom. And we're going to move this a little bit like to forward. There you go. So right now we just need to merge it and say that one. There you go. We will use that trick. So that's the whole point. There you go. So that's it. So we got it and we did it. Now we might a little bit lower the space actually. So there you go. Now we use this one and you can see that this is fabulous and this is so good. We can colorize this to a certain thing. Let's say we can colorize it. Of course we can go and colorize it from here. That would be much better. So we're going to go to format as a table, and my table has a header. Now the problem here that it'll be super large. That's something you don't want to. So I'm going to go back, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colorize this one something with my own creative. So I'm going to say you can be this color. And for the other cells, same thing. Now you just need to copy format painter and paste it for the entire thing. Now as you can see, this is much better than the other one, which right now it's obvious and it's great. So it didn't count the absent thing for me actually. So we're gonna use count if in here. We haven't used count if yet, but we're gonna use it. Let's go with present. So we're gonna say count. If I say count, and it'll basically count everything. So no, it's not gonna count the letters. It's only gonna count the value number. So let's say count, let's say as an example. There you go. So 1, 2, 3, and all of that is appearing there. But in count A is really actually counting the cells, and you know that. So count A, we talked about this, right? So there you go. So, but we're gonna say count if, all right? Count if. So we're gonna say count if. Now, range, is this range? Yeah, this is the range. Count A. Now, the criteria is if it's P. Otherwise, don't count it. So we're going to say P. Now it's 31. Let's say, write it A, 30. So let's say count A, count if. And this is the range. And right now we're going to say, yeah, we're going to say just A. There you go. So you have one absent thing. So we could repeat this for the entire thing. And you can see that that's 0. That's good. 0 is always good. So students should take, should be looking at 0 and higher rate of present. This is something we have done over here. Now, there's one thing and that's printing. So that count A was the point of this lecture, of course, but adjusting it properly to the print mode is another serious issue. Right now, if you go to print preview, it's in 2 pages. This is something ridiculous. We're going to reduce it into a landscape, a letter page, or an A4 page to see the result actually in the printer, not in the digital format. So the very first thing we have to do is to go to the page print or page layout. As you can see, this is ridiculous. It's in 2 page. So we're going to get it into 1. The very first thing, as you can see, it's 2 page. So we're going to just drag this little thing into the page break preview mode and make it page 1. Let's go back to print mode. As you can see, well, this is much better right now. Let's go to print mode. Well, not too good. We're going to go to landscape this time. Right now, we have another problem, and that is that it's not adjusted. It's not well enough. It's not centered. There's a lot of things. We could go with fit shit on the 1 page. Problem solved. So this option can help us to fit that into a sheet of thing. If you go over here, there will be some other options like options. Still, that's a page actually. If you can see, it says fed to 1 by page 1. You could go with percentage as well. You could choose this higher DPI, with 600 DPI is the best thing currently. So we finally succeeded over here, and right now you can see that it's the best thing we could do. Now you could bring this to a center, of course, from here horizontally and vertically. But that's not the point. If you print this like this one, it won't be good. So you could go with center, of course, or vertically. But I would leave it as it is currently. But as you can see, the margins from right to left is not adjusted. You may go with the horizontal. So the horizontal thing is much better. At least you see things adjusted on the right and left of the page. Now, if it isn't readable, we have to print it in an actual printer to see it. But based on my observation, this is readable. Of course, it's a little bit hard to read, but let's assume that but it's not readable. So we have to make it narrow. Making it narrow, we will be able to see it much better. And then the obvious. So this was the main projects, the main table that we had, and now this is the one that we created. What is the thing that is missing over here? Nothing. So everything is perfect. The only thing that might be missing is that the Thursday and all of that is a little bit lower thing. So we're going to just make it a little bit larger over here. There you go. Now everything is perfect. Now, we are doing a lot of things in Excel, so I would like to ask you to do a lot of things and play around with it. And that way you can make things easier for yourself, and you can make it much better than a lot of people. So if you don't practice it, it won't really matter a lot. You can adjust these things on your own, it's super easy. So there you go. That's kind of adjustment you need for your own project, and that's something good actually. There you go. So that's all for today in this lecture. In the data menu, we won't talk from one to another, individually each menu and really each comment and each section. The only reason is that you don't really need a lot of these, and particularly we will do much. We talked about formulas and other things and functions, which you could handle your work using those strategies and approaches. But we will hint over and really talk shortly about get and transform data, about the sort and filter, and data validation. these three. So if you really, and queries and connections are basically here for connecting things with the other source that you really are bringing stuff from here, and that's it. That's really it is. That's it. Okay. So the get and transform data is basically something you could bring data from a source to the Excel using this. It could be from any source, like a file of an Excel or CSV or XML. It could be anything. So what it does is, using the Excel itself, will think of it and will get that, and will really get the information. Even you can get it from picture and really import that to your really Excel and to your sheets. That's basically the get and transform data does, and it's basically a copy paste of your information to the sheet. Right now, you necessarily don't need a lot of this, but still you can copy and paste. That's much easier without coming to data. But in some cases, there's a huge large of data, like a banking system. If you want to really see how much you used in banking and all of that, like for a period of time, you could use this to figure out how many dollars you have used, how many you have earned. This is a better choice for that. But at my time, like in 2023, when I was really trying to understand how much I made and all of that, and to really get the total, I knew the total, but to get it on Excel as a portfolio thing, I copied and pasted. I did not come to data. So most people will strictly copy and paste. They won't come to this option. So then filter, this is the same thing as we had before, except the advanced, which will help us to filter the list in place or copy to another location, or it gives us a list range or a criteria range. This is basically another way to filter, but you will mostly be using filter and sort, all of this too. You won't come to add advanced unless it's so complex. Data validation is, however, the most important part that we will talk about over here. So let's say that you are only selling items from 2 to 9. You're not selling one item. So let's say that you have a strict rule and law. Each time you can type 1 or 2 or 3, that works. But as a reminder, you want to have that criteria. So if someone typed 1, you can give him a warning, or you can give her a warning that, hey, this is not gonna happen with our store. We won't sell items using this invoice. One item, we're gonna say minimum 2. So data validation is something that help us to do that. So if you select a cell basically, and if you say, well, you choose a type, like allow certain things, any value or whole number, decimal, list, data, time, text length, customize. Customize, you have to type a formal or like a whole number, minimum and a maximum. So let's say minimum and a maximum 9 item. So ignore blank, you could do that. Now, there are 2 things that you may need to have input message. If you want to type something for the user, whenever they're typing stuff, you could show them over here, like type over here, or alert or error alert. If they typed 1, like we should give them some warning. So let's right now type 1 and to see the effect. As you can see, the valid doesn't match the validation restriction. So this is a very useful thing when it comes to certain point. Let's say you only sell an 4 or 3 item. Let's say this is not the best case scenario. You could choose a list, or you could go to a source basically and select all that items. I'm gonna go to the P basically and hit OK, and I'm gonna go to P again. I'm gonna say item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. Now, if I go over here, you can see that items are over here. Now, for now, you don't need this. Now, you can, of course, use the formula to get the amount and get the total and all of that. So this is amount. This is not a quantity, as you can see. I had to write quantity, and I have to bring another invoice as well. So I have to bring quantity, actually, not that one. So, and that's something that it could be very valuable, like these two options. Now, this is very useful whenever you're creating certain projects. We definitely use this in our project sections. You could go with the date, from maximum date to a start date, or from end date, or you can go with the time as well. You can go text length, or a custom, basically any formula you could add, as long as it's making it meaningful to the Excel, as long as you can talk to Excel. That's data validation. That's what we really need at the data. The options that are like forgotten, we will definitely get back to them at the project section, which we already talked about that at formulas sections. We had a lot of fun together, and I hope you enjoyed them all. Let's talk about view, an option that you may need to adjust every possible sheet thing and before publishing. So you have to kind of review stuff, of course, enhance the viewing experience using the view. And this is something we need to really learn right over the data. No, sorry, review. So this is something we really need to talk about it right now. So in review, we have basically some stuff. We already learned the possible and the protect, and comments and notes, but we will review them as well. But as you can see, we have some proofing things over here. Same thing with the Microsoft Word and other program. Excel has a proofing feature. You can check the spelling. You can go to a treasuries and to see which things are kind of available. If you just go over, let's say, a word, and if you select it or not, it'll basically give you that options as well. So you can say production description for, there you go. It'll give you basically a lot of things and a lot of suggestions. Workbook statistic will give you a statistic of your data for the workbook, so it'll give you a lot of things to make sure that you understand everything in a table. It's basically a data that is about your sheet, and it's not about the content of your sheet. Check accessibility. We know this. We learned from the file. Smart lookup is another way to look up and research for stuff online. This will help us basically to find out the word and all of that, and everything basically is available, even the pictures, top medias, and all of that. So kind of cool, right? Translate will help us to translate stuff from one language to another without any effort. So it's not cool as really kind of makers to Google Translate, but it does the work, so you'll find this useful sometimes. Show changes. Now, why this is disabled? The only reason whenever someone is someone is bringing changes after they open it, not you but someone else, you could see changes right over here, and this is something very useful. Or someone maybe suggests stuff, and then all of that things will be over here as show changes. For now, I haven't changed anything in this worksheet, so probably it doesn't work really. As you can see, it did not work automatically. So once you change stuff too much at a certain point and save it, of course, without saving, it won't really affect. This is basically the same thing as we learned before at the info at changes pan or version history. So the comments is you can create a new comment, you can delete, you can go to previous, next, and all of that. This is super easy. Or you can click over here and reply or delete or add a new comment as well from here. Notes is another way to collaborate with someone in Excel. And the last one is protect. We already learned a lot of this, but this will allow us to protect workbook and sheet at the same time, or allow edit ranges where you want people to edit stuff, so you can create new, what ranges you want to be edited, and you can set up permissions without a password. You can say a lot of things as well. Let's say people can type their names. You can write as well some password if you want to, and now you can say you can add users as well. Users in the computer, and then you can really enable them. This is an old style protect. This is not something new. This is not something super new. And a lot of people don't use this really, actually. So we really collaborate with share, we type people's name and all of that, and then we start collaborating. Hide ink and all of that. Once you really type stuff over here, draw and other options like ink, you can hide them from here as well. That's another possibility. This is review, and it's so quick. I know I jumped somewhere like over here, but that's the basic idea. So you review your document before publishing. This is a timesheet that we will be talking on, and it's super easy sheet. So you can see that someone in the template designer just added a very simple background and all of this over here, and you can see that it's all over here based on the formula and based on the over here using the if error and all of that formula, and if of course he or she used this one as well to find out the lunch start and lunch end and time in and all of that over here, so to demonstrate the point. Nowadays, they use much advanced timesheet and punch cards, which is automatic, which is through the app. You don't need a lot of this unless you want to export and report to someone. You have to really report this to someone. Before publishing stuff, or like before even getting things, of course, you have to review the data. You have to now see it, how it looks. So over here, basically, the view part will help us to basically to see things differently. And using the view, you can decide on normal view or page break or page menu. So basically, you'll be able to see things on a different kind of criteria if it was really ready or not. So let's go with these four, and then let's talk about the others. So the page break and page normal and page layout is something that you may need to learn. The page break is used for printing stuff. As you can see, this is only on landscape. This is on normal, and page layout is something that it shows on page things, and you can see that it's repetitive. Each and every time you go and you click, it's repeating itself. The custom views, if there's more data on it, so it'll basically, you'll be able to adjust the view as well. For now, as you can see, this is totally 100% zoomed in, and it's not available for us. Navigation bar is somewhere we can see all about the timeline and timesheet part, which is something cool, and in case if we need to help with. These are just viewing and enabling and disabling, like ruler or headings, grid lines, and formula bar. this is not super advanced thing. Zoom in will help us to zoom in to a certain point, or 100% over here. I always go 100%. Zoom to a selection will take us to a particular data that we are looking for at. New window, it will basically give us a new window of our data. As you can see, these two are the same. But yeah, arrange all if you create a lot of new windows, so you'll be able to arrange it using that one. Freeze pan is something super important that we talked about this on at our formulas and at our projects, which will be able to freeze a certain column or row and then to scroll over, so we won't be able to kind of we will be able to kind of work with that. Right now you can enable it and you can freeze the top and pans and all of that from here. Split and hide and unhide is part of the windows. The other one, of course, if you have two windows on the side, you can view them side by side, or you can enable signing them as well. Switch is another thing. The micro, we talked about this at our project section, so we don't need a lot of things to talk about. That's this basically view. Help is nothing. If you want to get help, that's all. So the view is basically helping you to adjust the view on Excel, not on printing, actually, on the Excel workbook itself. All right. I hope you enjoyed the course and see you in the next lecture. Thanks for the question. Let's go and elaborate more on data validation. So we're going to go simply straight to an example. Let's say let's assume that this can be, let's say, this is going to be person's name. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And this is going to be, let's say, last name. And this is going to be, let's put some options. Let's say we could say gender, for example, or we could say, well, let's not talk about gender because it's going to be more complicated. Let's choose some specific things. Let's say we're going to say, for example, owning a vehicle, okay, or just owning a vehicle or transportation. Owning a car, for example. We're going to take a very close look at that. So let's say Tom, and we're going to say Tom, and we're going to call it Walker, and we're going to go to the bottom and same thing. Now let's say, or just car make, that would be better. So let's say these people are in the list, and we want to just, instead of letting the user type there, we want to give them choices. So we want to give them choices so they could find out their car's make, their car's brand or company, and then they could choose. Or let's assume we are the data entry guy and we want to let our work to flow. We want to make our work easier. So we're going to go to data and data validation right over here. Here we have a lot of options though. So it could be any value. When it is any value, it means you can type whatever you want. Whole number, it could be a number. So right now we're specifically talking about cars make. So cars make, like Toyota, Honda, like Nissan, these are brands. These are not a whole number. Let's say assume that we just say age. We could choose age over here, or let's say height or weight. We could choose a whole number. Decimal, it's something more decimal. It's so accurate number, or it's like, let's say dollar thing. Or dollar price. We could use a lot of ways in here. We have list. Now we can use list over here, right? So this is what we were talking about. We have date, time, and text length and custom. Specifically, let's talk about list. I'm going to create a list over here. So Toyota, Honda, GMC, or just like any model, Nissan, and then blah, blah, or whatever, okay? So we're going to go to data validation to the hour field, and then we're going to go to the list, not to the data, to the list. Over here, we choose the source. And now, ignore blank. If there wasn't any blank, just ignore it. In cell drop down, yes. So once you click, it'll drop down. We can choose. We have some input message. We have error alert in case that we want to alert the user or us, or we want to give an input message. We can't do that over here. So let's gonna go through this. So now you say, well, Tom and Walker, well, what kind of car he is driving, we can choose right over here. Let's say Toyota. Same with this guy. And if I just go down and I can choose with the other stuff. There you go. I can choose whatever I wanted to. And I can delete it as well. And still, I can choose another one. This could be one case use, but there are many, many professional use for this. This is like if you have seen a list of province or state or country, it could be the sex column or gender, or maybe some documentation. There are a lot of use cases for this, particularly in Excel. So that's the whole thing, and I hope you got the point. Let me know still if you have any question. In this course, I know you had a big achievements, and so far you've made it a lot, and it's a great achievement. How to get your certificate, how to get really certifications from this course. Well, if you completed this course and up right here to this point, you will get an email that you completed the course and well done. And you will be able also to get it from there, from the top options where you see where you can edit your reviews, where you can ask questions, you can get some support. That over there, you'll be able to get your certification. And that's so easy. Let me know once you get it.